everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. And we're really excited today. This is another catch up between me and Bree. And, we did one of these last month and people seem to really like it. So, hey, let's do it again, right?
I know. I love that people just love us bantering.
Yes.
So grab a good drink, grab your coffee or your tea or your water.
That's right.
And just
Yeah, I mean, because you put a lot of work into like taking the notes and making everything, like having good questions and all this stuff. And I think that has value when people like those episodes. But it's nice also when people just it's like very reaffirming, people just like us.
Yeah.
You don't even have to do all that.
Feel liked. It's so nice. And like literally the last one, we didn't really have anything planned.
No.
We were just like, let's just get on and talk.
Yeah. Because it had been a bit. It'd been 6 months or something. It had been a while since we had recorded together. And so it was a lot of fun. And so how has your summer been? You finished. Congrats, first year.
I know.
Teaching.
I know. I'm studying right now for because I teach English in Texas by law, you have to be certified on like English as a second language.
Oh, wow.
So I'm studying for that right now. It's kind of not fair because English, like ELA, is the only subject that has to do it. And I'm like, but like you do just as much reading in social studies and you read in math.
Yeah,
it's kind of not fair. But
good point.
The last time we talked, you had read the Emily Henry and I didn't. And Rachel. I loved the book.
Yes.
So we're talking about funny story. That's the name of it.
Yes.
Rachel is still a beach read girl through and through.
Yeah, it's true. My first love.
I feel like I need to reread Beach Read because funny story was good.
It was really good. Yeah.
It was good. So I kicked off my summer with that.
Especially when you had such a big response to it. I was thinking, it's either my second favorite or third favorite. And then I'm like, maybe it is my second favorite because People We Meet on Vacation, I did enjoy it, but I did think the guy was a little bit too perfect. Whereas the guy in what's it called?
Funny Story.
The guy in Funny Story was a little bit more like rough around the edges and a little bit more like it felt like more like a real person.
Yeah. And the whole, like, I feel like Happy Place and whatever came before it were kind of just like good in the moment, but kind of forgettable.
Yeah.
But you cannot forget the premise of a Funny Story. Like,
yeah. And I feel like Funny Story will make a much better movie than People We Meet on Vacation.
Yeah, definitely will.
Yeah.
So if you're on the fence, guys, like basically the setup is our heroine and hero are both engaged to other people and they leave them for each other. And so they hero
get kind of dumped.
Yeah, they get dumped.
And they need a place to live and they end up
with each other.
Like, well, let's share an apartment together.
Yeah. We both just got dumped.
Yeah,
we live together. You can't forget that premise.
Yeah, it's really fun. And they're it's kind of it's basically like a friends to lovers kind of story, forced proximity, so we love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so good. Add that to your summer reading, guys, if you haven't picked it up. I have to ask you, what do you think about this Kansas City Chiefs movie that Hallmark is talking about?
We really are jumping all around. Yeah. I the fact that it's written by Julie Sherman Wolfe, that gives me a lot of confidence.
Okay. Remind me what Julie's written.
So Julie, she did like The Birthday Wish, and she did, of course, now off the top of my head, my mind's gone blank.
But she's a girl. Like, we like what Julie writes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
She's done a whole bunch of really good ones, and she's just very funny. She's a friend of the podcast. We love her, and so that gives me some more confidence. She's also a big football fan.
Oh, okay, good.
And she did that one with Ryan Pavey and Pascal Hutton. That was like pretty good. I enjoyed it. That was like football themed. And so the fact that she's writing it gives me like a lot of confidence. And in it that it'll be decent. I know a lot of people are like really high on the fact, of course, that Tyler and Hunter are in the leads, and I enjoy both of those actors. But I haven't been a big fan of Tyler recently, aside from Three Wise Men, because he I feel like he's kind of letting the adulation get to him a little bit, or at least Hallmark is in the roles they've been giving him, because he's always playing like the cool guy,
Yeah.
the whether it was like in Never Been Kissed, like the cool guy from high school, or the in that one with Rihanna where he's constantly I mean that one with Rhiannon where he's constantly on the motorcycle looking all like cool and whatever. and
Yeah.
and I miss the Tyler where he was the humble guy, the kind of when he first started he was kind of almost like shy, sort of embarrassed, because I think that's who he is in real life. Like he is kind of shy, he's sweet, and I haven't been a big fan of some of his recent roles, and so I was just like, well, we'll see. But with that, and I just don't. I feel like him and Hunter, I just is wouldn't put them as a
In a movie
match.
together.
But we'll see. And with good, I mean, it always comes down to the writing. So
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Yeah,
I
I
mean, I
feel
could care
like
less about
he's
football.
become such like a Hallmark darling that I
Yeah.
think sometimes they overuse people and they put them in roles that just, not that he's not a great actor, but it's just not the role for him.
Yeah, I just wish that we could get back to him being the like kind of like shy, sweet guy as opposed to like this cool guy on
The
a motorcycle.
Fonz
Like
from Happy Days.
that's just not interesting to me.
Yeah.
But she did one so okay, so I looked up because like I said, my mind went blank. But like she did Julie Shermoff did Hanukkah on Rye, which was so good.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, that was so good a few years ago. She did Dickens of a Holiday. That one's really good. Um, Taking a Shot at Love. I love that one. Royal Holiday.
Yeah.
That one's really good. Um,
I just am like, what's this one gonna be about?
yeah.
I know it's inspired by Travis
Yeah.
and Taylor, but like, what's the movie
Uh-huh.
gonna be about?
Yeah. I hope it'll be fun. It'll be, like a like it is because we don't know the plot, do we? Do we know
I
the
haven't
what
seen
the
anything about the plot. I'm
yeah, let
like,
me see.
I'm not hating on it. Like, I
No.
will watch it, but I'm like, what? Whose idea was this? Was this
Yeah.
Hallmark's idea?
Well, because they did the little like it wasn't in I don't think it was on the Super Bowl, but they did like the little spot, the little ad for the NFL as a Hallmark movie.
Hmm.
Um and that was funny. And I know Julie worked on that. And so then I think this is just an expansion on that.
Okay.
Holiday Touchdown, a Chiefs love story. Film is set to premiere this. We are honored to partner with Hallmark on a project. This is the NFL saying we're honored to partner with Hallmark on a project as unique as this. This Chiefs president Mark Donovan said in a statement, "As a club, we pride ourselves on exploring new ways to grow our brand as well as connect with new audiences." So, there you go.
I think that is it. Okay, guys, don't come for me, but this is just my thought. Taylor Swift going to the games bought in so many new fans to football. Like women, right? Like more women watched because Taylor Swift was there.
Yeah,
And I think I think it's a really smart move on behalf of the football league of like, well, let's capitalize on everybody's
yeah,
love of
you're
this,
right.
you know, they're like American royalty right now, this love story that everybody's interested in by like going to the source. Let's go to Hallmark. Everybody watches Hallmark during Christmas, have them make a movie, and that's more fans. And it's the Chiefs. Like, I mean, I'm not saying this because I'm originally from Missouri, guys, but literally it is in the middle of the country.
Well, I mean, and it's
So,
perfect because Hallmark is from Kansas City, so
and
it
Hallmark's from
all,
Kansas City. Yeah.
yeah. I mean. it all makes sense. He says, by blending the warmth of Hallmark storytelling with the excitement of professional football, we are thrilled to give audiences a front row seat to this community's spirit, rich traditions, and passionate fans that define Kansas City, all wrapped up in the comforting and uplifting Hallmark way.
Yeah.
That's the Darren Abbott from Hallmark. So there we go.
And also, I mean, the Chiefs, it wasn't a reflection of the Chiefs, but my sister is a huge Harrison Butker fan, and
Oh yeah.
he said some
Oh yeah.
pretty not nice things a while ago. So I'm like, smart move, Chiefs. Smart move. Let's clean it up. Let's clean it up.
There was a time in my life where I did like try to kind of follow sports a little bit, but
Girl,
no,
football just goes over my head.
nothing.
I'm like,
I just don't have time.
yeah,
Like sports takes up a lot of time.
it does. It
It takes a
does.
lot of time, and yeah, I just don't.
No.
I don't have time. Even the
I'm like, why are
Olympics,
they
I
kicking the
barely have
ball
time to.
now?
We got the Summer Olympics coming up, and I've always been a big Olympics person, but yeah, I just don't have time for it
Yeah.
hardly at all. But anyway, so yeah, this should be fun. And you know, it'll definitely be a probably the biggest. I would imagine this will have the biggest ratings of the season for
Oh
them.
yeah.
I would imagine. So way to
Are
go.
we like, are they doing Christmas movies right now?
You mean for Christmas in July?
Yeah.
Well, so they have the we're recording this what's the date? 27th. We're
June.
recording this
Yeah,
on the
27.
27th. This week on Mysteries, they've been doing Merry Movie Marathon. And then for July, they're doing Christmas in July. And we have a preview, me and Jasmine, we did a preview. So if people want to listen to that. But they have two new movies coming for Christmas in July. They have an extended cut of Three Wise Men. And they have two movies that aired on Hallmark Movies Now that are now
Mhm.
getting their Hallmark Channel premiere. So technically, they have four new movies to Hallmark Channel coming for Christmas in July and this extended cut. So yeah, it's you know, a pretty good offering for Christmas in July.
Yeah. I was seeing people like, oh, the Christmas movies have already started. And I'm like, look, okay, my brain is like, it's Christmas in July. We are still in June.
Yeah.
I can't do it yet.
Yeah.
But then I was like, I don't
Yeah.
want to miss anything. So,
Right. And you all really should check out that preview. Jasmine is absolutely hilarious.
she
She's so
is.
funny. And she was just like, I was practically in tears, just laughing.
She's such a Hallmark heroine.
And she really is.
I did see, okay, this is a very controversial topic, I guess, that
Uh-huh.
my beloved Vegas did a GAC movie, and I don't know
Yeah.
how I feel about
Yeah.
it. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I can understand that. I mean, everybody has to work, so I get it. But
Yeah.
you know, and if they're not getting the roles from Hallmark, I guess, you know, whatever you do. But I was kind of bummed because it looked actually there was really it sounded pretty fun. And this that was called like Mr. Manhattan or something. So hopefully it'll be on like Tubi or whatever. I'll build, you know, I'll watch it because we don't cover GAC on this channel. There's other podcasts that do and do a great job at it, but we don't. And yeah, I mean, I was kind of surprised that it took them this long, actually, because
Me too.
because you know, the GAC or GAF, whatever, they've really focused on very Christian talent, you know,
Yeah.
like
And that's
porting them to
them.
their brand.
Yeah.
And I know that the Panavegas are very, very vocal about their faith, which is awesome. And so I was kind of surprised we didn't hear from them sooner, to be honest. But you know,
Yeah.
so
Same. Then when I wasn't, I was like,
but they
maybe we
haven't
still
signed an
got them.
exclusive, I don't think. So we still could get them.
We could still get them.
I
I don't
think, yeah.
know.
I have lost
I
track.
just feel like that's where they want to be. I'd
Yeah.
be surprised if we get them in Hallmark
Yeah.
again.
Yeah. I mean, it would make sense with their brand if,
It
of who they
really
are. Like it
would.
just would,
And this is so
like the
weird
pure
to talk about
flicks and
because we're literally talking about just people of faith who are very proud in their faith, but it feels like
mhm,
a very us and them
yeah.
like culture right now in the world of made for TV, Hallmark, and then having GAC. And anytime you see somebody that comes from Hallmark
Mhm.
and goes over there, it does feel like you're switching kickball teams here a little bit.
Well, that's why I have been glad that Hallmark has been doing the Dayspring movies because it's been nice that they have basically said, like, you're not the only player in this game. Like, we can make the faith-based movies as well. Like, it's not
Yeah,
just you. And in my opinion, I think the Dayspring movies have been pretty good.
good.
They're I liked this Bethlehem one that they did. I like the Easter movies, one of my favorites of this year. I I liked that one with Nikki and Brennan, Gift of Peace. We
Mhm.
had Mike Grimm on the podcast, and he wrote Gift of Peace and the Easter Bloom, um and he gets it. He understands the nuance that you need for an effective faith-based film, and I really liked his interview. I thought he was great, and so I'm kind of glad that Hallmark has basically been saying like we can do it too.
We could put a dog in this fight.
Yeah, exactly.
Way to go,
Judy.
Hallmark.
Ho, ho, ho. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
Actually, you know what's funny? Because I feel like I haven't done that much reading because I've been so busy because I basically took on 2 part-time jobs in June. But then I was just looking at my since my reading list since last time we talked, and since I read since last time we talked, I've read 4 books.
Yeah,
That's pretty good.
that is great. What did you read?
Because I think I told you about the Library of Second Chances, right?
You did. Yeah, you
Yeah.
did.
So yeah, that was really fun. And then I read Flyaway Summer, and this is the new
Lindsay
book.
Gibson?
Yeah, Lindsay Gibson. She's
Okay.
great. I mean, this book was pretty basic as far as the plot. Like we've seen it a lot,
Mhm.
but she's just a good writer, so she can elevate it.
Yeah,
She can elevate it.
that's good.
And then I read Betting on You from Lynn Painter. And you know
love
how much I
Lynn
love
Painter.
her.
Yeah.
And this had like a very nostalgic feel to it. Basically, like it starts out there's this meet cute between these like 2 teenagers. This is a young adult book, but 2 teenagers who meet. She's going to Alaska to her parents have gotten divorced. Her dad's now in Alaska. She's going up there to like spend time with him. He sees her. He's very cynical about relationships, cynical about like, oh, you're a divorced kid, right? And all this stuff. And he says that men and women can't be friends, and it's very self-owning about like, oh, this is when Harry met Sally, and they know it and everything, and then they meet again every couple of years, and then they end up working together at this like fun center,
Mhm.
and they make a bet of they have 2 of their coworkers or friends that he says, oh, they're totally into each other. This is going to happen. And she's like, no, they're dating other people. This is not going to happen. And he's like, you want to bet? So they make this bet, and it's fun. It's fun. And her her mom starts dating this guy, and so she's really conflicted about it. And he's like the experienced pro of his mom dating and everything and being cynical about it. And I just think that Lynn is really good at writing these kinds of stories with like the slightly surly lead guy who's like
Yeah.
who becomes very endearing. And I love that in Better Than Movies, and with Wes being like your grumpy curmudgeon. And, I did read some of the reviews that were like, oh, he was so unlikable. To each their own, I guess. I think she pulls it off of bringing enough kind of humanity and charm to these sort of grumpy characters.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it was fun. I think especially like teenagers will enjoy it. And I just really like her writing. I just do. And then I read Her Part to Play by Jenny Erlingson. And we had her on the podcast, and it was cute. This is a cute book. It's very faith-based, so it's a Christian fiction, and strong in that regard. But it's a cute story about this lady who had been kind of kicked off of this set doing makeup by this like diva star years ago. So she had like this bad experience in Hollywood, but she's in Alabama. There's this movie getting shot. She's really in need of money. So she decides to go and be the makeup designer and it turns out it's the same guy, the same movie star. And he doesn't remember who she is or anything, of course. So it's kind of a little bit enemies to lovers kind of thing, but it's fun. It's fun. And then the last one that I read is called The Rom-Con by Devin Daniels.
Okay.
And this was, I can't remember, did you recommend this one to me?
No.
Okay. The Rom-Con. And this one, it's kind of similar to How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. It's definitely got those vibes. And it's about this reporter, and she writes for like a female empowerment kind of site / magazine type thing. And there's this like really bro-tastic type site that they hate. And so she decides that she has this meet cute with the head of this magazine / site. And she decides to do this like undercover article on
of course.
yeah. And she's gonna like expose the chauvinistic whatever. And so her plan is that she's gonna like go on a date with him, but she's gonna give like all really old school traditional 1950s kind of answers to everything, be like, I want to be a stay-at-home mom, and I want to whatever. And of course, like when she actually does that, he's like, what like and so it's fun. It's a fun little book. I enjoy it.
One that I want to read is the Rom-Commers. I thought that's what you were going to say. It like just came out by Catherine Center. And it's like, I think you would love it. We have to read it. I think she's like a screenwriter bought on to like fix this guy's script, and he's like totally against her doing it or something. I don't know. It like just came out, Rachel. But when you were going, I was like, oh my God, Rachel read the Rom-Commers and didn't tell me. We have to read it.
What about you? Have you been able to read anything?
I've read a couple of things. I can't remember if I talked about this last time. I think I was starting the new Carly Fortune This Summer Will Be Different.
Yeah, you were.
I read it. It was fine. It was fine. I did read.
I think we felt that way about the first one.
The first one.
It was a little. It was
fine.
Yeah.
It's like, I think she does great at like tapping into like our age demographic and like our nostalgia for like summers of Once Upon a Time, but like the execution of the actual romance and stuff just kind of gets muddled in things. I don't know. I did read The Summer Escape by Jill Shalvis. This was interesting.
She's a favorite of yours.
I love her. And I know that in the past she's tried her hand at like adding some mystery into the books. I wasn't expecting that when I read this one, so I was like thrown off just a little bit,
Yeah.
but it was fine. I
Uh-huh.
read the Paris novel by Ruth Reichel, so she's like a huge food critic, and I love her nonfiction. And I was like, let me try her fiction novel. It's a new release, guys. I
Uh-huh.
will say, like, chapter 2 does have not explicit, but it is still on the page alluded to of like child kind of like sexual abuse.
Uh,
It takes place in the 80s. Our heroine's raised by a mom who really didn't want to be a mom and was like dating this painter guy. And she was just like, it's the 80s. Like, you're going to go over to his apartment and he's going to teach you how to paint. And it's like, us women now would never.
right.
But then the mom eventually passes away and she like, instead of like leaving her a bunch of money, she like leaves her like a ticket to go to Paris, like a one-way ticket. And it ends up being this like beautiful, like found family. She like hangs out at like, what's it called? Shakespeare and Co., like that bookstore people go to
Oh,
over
yeah.
there.
Mm-hmm.
She's like a copy editor by trade. And so it ends up being wonderful, full of food, like Paris in the 80s. I think it's actually a really fun kind of summer read, but you got to get through chapter 2. So like totally
That's good
skim
to
it if
know.
you
That's good to know.
skim it if you want. But and then like the most recent one that I read was Bride by Allie Hazelwood. I've never read Allie Hazelwood before.
What'd you
This
think?
was a vampire werewolf romance, and I liked it a
Oh,
lot.
good.
So that's that. So yeah, I really want to read the rom-commers. I'm waiting for the library book to come in, the audiobook. I really, really
Nice.
want to read that next. And then I have The Wedding in Lake Como by Jennifer Probst that I just got from the audiobook from the library that I'm wanting to start. So I'm still in like full-fledged summer reading, I feel
Mm-hmm.
like.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's Elise Murray and her exciting book, Society Girl. Set in the mysterious world of Oxford University's secret societies, Society Girl follows Sam, a duke's estranged daughter, as she attempts to join the most famous club of them all, the Animos Society. Her final initiation challenge is simple: find a man, convince him she's in love with him, and then break his heart in humiliating fashion. Hardened by her father's rejections, believing that the Animos Society is her key to his love and acceptance, Sam throws herself into making Daniel Best, her father's chauffeur and local musician, fall for her. But she never counted on falling in love with him right back. Fans of Colleen Hoover, Anna Hong, and Mia Sheridan will love Society Girl, a sweeping romance from bestselling novelist and screenwriter Elise Murray. Free for Kindle Unlimited users for a limited time. Go to elisemurray.com/novels/Society Girl for more information. Or you can use the affiliate link below. Well, I thought it would be fun to talk a little bit about basically like our favorite stuff, because
Yeah.
you went and saw Jurassic Park. I saw you tweeting about it and I was like, that's one of my favorite movies. And so it's like, this would be a perfect opportunity to like just talk about some of our favorites.
Yeah.
So
I
what was
can't
that
recommend
like
enough, guys.
seeing
Like, if
Jurassic
you're,
Park?
you go to the theater all the time,
Yeah.
you're always watching something. If your theater does like random themed nights, like
Yes.
this summer, in June, we have Flicks Brew House here, and they showed like Purple Rain. They did Jurassic Park. That's the one I went to see. They did like
Yeah.
the Twilight Saga over the
Uh-huh.
course of a couple of nights. Guys, go. Even if you've seen the movie 100 times, like, I don't know. I feel like going to the movies is. I feel like I'm seeing more people do it now.
Yeah.
Obviously, with COVID, it changed, and I was worried, like, are these going to be a thing of the
Yeah.
past? But it's just a really cool
Yeah, it
experience.
is.
Like,
Yeah.
now you can get food and recline back in the chair. And they gave us like these really cool glasses with Clever Girl on it when the Velociraptor
Ah,
comes through.
good.
And I was like, oh my gosh. So guys, go to the movies. But yeah,
Yeah.
let's talk face. Let's talk face.
I love Jurassic Park so much. It was the first movie that really like wowed me on an awe and spectacle basis. It's still the movie I've seen the most in the theaters.
Yeah.
And and I think I saw it 6 or 7 times that season when it first came up, and I've seen it I think 9 or 10 times. in theaters, including during COVID. There was a local theater, Water Gardens called, that did set up an outdoor drive-in
Oh,
just for
that's
during
cool.
COVID. And they played Jurassic Park, again, one of my favorite movies. And it had been probably 2 months since I had been to the movies at this point. And so this was like May of 2020, so real tough time, and I when that music at the end goes on and the helicopters would go flying out. I mean, I was just literally sobbing because it meant so much to me.
I sobbed early in the movie. Like you're not expecting to cry. You've seen it so many times, but he's like, you have a T-Rex. And he's like, we have a T-Rex. And he like almost passes out. She's like, put your head between your legs. And I'm sobbing, just I think out of the experience of like, oh my God, I'm watching this at the theater and they have a T-Rex.
Well, and it's not just a monster movie. That's the thing. I think that all the sequels have been disappointing because they just focus on the monsters, where what was great about that, equally as great as the on spectacle, which was incredible, was these just great characters.
Yeah.
One of my favorite scenes talking about the flea circus.
Yeah.
And Dr. Saller says, it's all an illusion.
Yeah.
I was captivated by this place. But it's and I just think that whole scene develops those characters so well, and it's such like a captivating and well acted, well done scene. And there's just so many great characters, that and so many good lines. And I just absolutely, I just think it's a perfect movie. I really think it's like so entertaining. It's it's funny, it's scary. I mean, that scene when she's hiding from the raptors in the kitchen, that scene is so tense. And
the kids.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I was just like, the whole I forget the guy's name, but he's like basically trying to talk sense into him, like, just because we can doesn't mean we should. I was like, that's the whole theme of this movie. Right there.
I mean, Malcolm is such a great character. He's so funny, so endearing, and correct in so many things. And the movie has something to say about us playing God, and what do we, what really matters as far as life, and creating life, and cloning, all this stuff it kind of talks about, and just ambition. Hammond is such like an interesting character, because like in his eyes he's like not only doing something important, but like something that like really matters. He talks about how like if he brought back these birds, that had gone extinct, everybody would be cheering for him. And that's when Malcolm's like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
This is not just some bird.
They've been dead for a long time.
For a reason. And I don't know. It's just, I just think it's like the perfect mixture of characters, entertainment, spectacle, everything that you could want in a movie in Jurassic Park. So it's
there's
definitely
something about
one of my
seeing
favorites.
it at the theater where you're like, you pick up on things differently that you hadn't before. Like when when he like kind of scares the kid at the beginning, at the end of the movie, that's exactly what happens. Like they do find themselves surrounded by the velociraptors. And I was like, I never put that together sitting at home and watching it on like the TV screen. But I'm like, he was so right. But then the T-Rex comes in and saves him.
That's so fun.
So would you say it's like a summer movie?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
What are your movies that feel like summer, like your phase?
Well, one I usually throw out there is actually Pixar's Up. I think because it's all about like travel and dreams, and this relationship between this kid and this grumpy old man, which I'm like, oh, I'm a huge sucker for like grumpy old people movies
Yeah.
because I was really close to my grandparents and so it just always gets me. I
Yeah.
miss my grandpa so much, and then my other grandma I miss so much, and I love Up so much. And I mean, a lot of people are like, oh, it's just the first 10 minutes, but I disagree. I like it throughout. And in the end, when he sees the note that Ellie leaves him, go and have another thanks for the great adventure. Because he feels like the whole movie is all about regret. He
Yeah.
feels like he did not give Ellie the the life that he had promised her, and he has this just weight of this regret, and
Oh my
that'll
God.
like gnaw at your soul.
Yeah.
And so when he sees that, he knows she really did love him all along, and he can now go and have a great adventure with Russell. And you see them eating ice cream and at the end, and he's got like a whole new lease on life. And I know I just absolutely adore that film, and I think that it just really captures that like summer energy, I think. Well,
Yeah. Pixar, man, they will give you some, like,
yeah, I don't know.
you saying that one makes me think of Take Her to the Moon for Me, okay?
Oh yeah.
From Inside Out. Oh my God, they dig Bing Bong so wrong.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Somebody had to be sacrificed. I get it.
I mean, what about you? What would you pick?
I think when I think of summer, I'm such a nostalgic person. I think of like Now and Then, that girlhood movie. I love
Oh yeah,
girlhood
that's a good
stuff in
one.
the
Yeah, that'd be
summer.
a good one.
Just them like riding bikes and having seances. I think of the original Twister, which I know we wanted to talk.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's such a fun movie, and it's been a rough year for me as far as particularly blockbuster movies. There's just not been that many that I've liked, but I am holding out hope for Twisters. I think it looks really fun. Fingers
Fingers
crossed.
crossed.
Mm.
But there's even from the previews, I feel like there are so many nods to the original, just like the truck that gets swept up in the preview. I'm like, that's what Joe's truck looked like in the first
Yeah,
one. Seeing Dorothy, I'm like, okay, what's the backstory? How do they have Dorothy? Because
yeah.
Dorothy was flying in the first one. I just
Yeah,
need to know.
it makes me feel like sort of Top Gun Maverick, which would be another like real good summer movie, but in the sense that like Top Gun Maverick like was its own thing, but it
Yeah,
had like homages and obviously characters from the original, but like you didn't even need to seen the original
to watch that
to
one.
enjoy Top Gun Maverick. And I think that's going to be the same with this. Like you
Yeah.
won't, it'll have like homages and maybe a few characters, but like it'll be its own thing.
I
So
hope, but then I'm like, because they're like, he's like, oh, we have twins, and I'm like, no, they were sisters in the first movie. So I'm like,
yeah.
what's the differences, and what's the like? You
Yeah.
see like the red big Ford F-350 or whatever, and I'm like, Bill had a red Ford truck in the
Yeah.
first one. I'm like, what is
Yeah.
it? Is it like a continuation or what?
Because
I'm
I
I'm
don't know.
excited.
I do not know the original as well as you do. Like I wouldn't be able to pick up on like, oh, it was the color of the truck. Like, I mean, I enjoyed the original, but I don't know it that well.
Yeah.
But so yeah, let me see what we both think. And another movie that I think is a perfect summer movie is Point Break. Have you ever seen Point
Okay.
Break?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Oh
yeah.
God,
I
that
mean,
is a
it's
good
got like
summer
the
movie.
surfing element, it's got the action, it's exciting, good characters. Yeah, I just think it that would be a really good one too.
Oh God, what else? I think I mean obviously like The Mummy. I
Oh
love
yeah, yeah,
I watch The Mummy all the time, but like I mean, come on.
yeah. And if you ever go to Universal Studios Hollywood, that's a fun ride. The
Is
Mummy
it?
ride. Yeah,
Gosh. Yeah.
yeah.
Um
You go backwards in
oh
the
gosh.
dark, which is pretty wild. This is really fun.
I
Uh,
did like, I don't know the name of the movie, but one of the Passport to Love's Hallmarks did the one that she went to
the
Paris.
that was by far the best one.
The
Yeah, yeah.
cheesiest, but I love
Yeah.
that movie.
And I had so much fun recapping all of the Passport to Love movies because they were uneven, but that
They
was
were uneven.
by far the best one. But with Marissa, we had so much fun talking about them. I asked on Twitter what people's favorites. I didn't specify summer, so these are just overall favorites. And we got some answers. Kate says The Lion King and Lilo and Stitch.
Oh.
Seam Water says Inception and The Dark Knight.
Oh.
Yeah, Tim Rachel and says Tangled and Inside Out. So love
Oh.
those. And Hexton says How to Train Your Dragon and Brave.
Oh, I love Brave. Oh, Merida's my favorite.
It has some fun moments for sure. So we thought we talk a little bit about some of our other favorites. And so it's always hard to say what is your favorite book, but I feel like almost everybody should have like a go-to of like, yeah, maybe it's not like really your favorite. You have like one you throw out there, right?
Mhm.
And for me, my favorite book is I have a favorite classic, which is North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell. I just absolutely love the characters, the story, everything. I love it. And then my favorite contemporary novel is The Book Thief by Marcus Zussek. And it's the most original work of fiction I've ever experienced.
Yeah.
You have it's set in World War II Germany with the characters being German, which is kind of unusual. And it's a little girl, and they have death as the narrator, which could be a gimmick, but I think he totally pulls it off, and it really works. And one of the things that I think is most impressive in a book is when it's easy, well, not easy, but it's easier to make your like character A and character B, your main protagonist, compelling. But I think a really special novel is when like character 8, 9, 10 are still compelling. You
Yeah.
know, like and that's what he does so well in this book. Like there's a character named Rudy that by the end, what happens to his character, and he's a relatively minor character, sobbing. I made the mistake of reading this book one of the many times I read it when I was taking a Greyhound to Las Vegas. This was years ago for a swim that I did, and I was just sobbing, and everybody's looking around like, well, what is going on here? But it's so good and such great characters, and it's so creative. Not only having Death to be the narrator, but like there's points where because she finds all of these books, and so then there's like books within a book, and she starts writing a book at a certain point. So like it's just really wonderful, and I love the characters and the story, and anyway, so those are my two favorite books. What about
Yeah.
you? What do you throw out there as like your favorite?
Oh God, that is hard. I'd say Daphne du Maurier's Rebecca.
Mm-hmm.
I've loved that since the eighth grade, and I think I have just so much nostalgia attached to it. I can still hear Miss Turner's raspy voice. They like separated us, so the boys went to somebody I don't even know, and then the girls we all went to Miss Turner and we read Rebecca, and she had that deep like. She sounded like Lucille Ball later in life, like that smoker's voice. And she always had on like the cutest pantsuit. And she loved this book. And so, like, the few girlfriends that I'm still in touch with, they're like, yeah, I reread it like every year. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I remember reading it over and over again. Like, did I miss something? Like, wanting Rebecca to
Yeah,
actually be on the page. And like, you never know the narrator's name. Like, Rebecca is the queen bee, but she's
true.
never actually there. It's just incredible. I love that book. And then, of course, Miss Turner played us Alfred Hitchcock's adaptation, and
Mm-hmm.
it's perfect. I refuse to watch the Netflix one
Oh
because
yeah, don't
what's
waste your
the
time.
point? We don't
Don't
need
waste.
it.
Don't
So
waste your time. It's so
I
boring.
think I think that is like my all-time. I would have to say fave. Like
Yeah,
if I have like one favorite book, it's
it's a
probably
good
that one.
choice. It's a good
And I
choice.
feel like that's when I feel like up till then I was reading like Goosebumps. I think I
Yeah.
did read Frankenstein, but it was like somebody like made it more accessible to kids. Like the grocery store
Right.
used to take classics and like
Mm-hmm.
make them like kid versions. I feel like
Yeah.
Rebecca was the first like, okay, I'm kind of aging out of the kid books
Yeah.
I'd been reading. I loved it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
it. I
No.
love it, guys.
Good
Tell us
choice.
what your favorites are.
Yeah. Well, I got some responses on Twitter. So DigiKate says actually Frankenstein and The Sign of
Oh,
Four is her
okay.
favorite. CM Waters says Hunger Games and Dracula.
Oh, wow.
Tim Rachel Ann says The Lucky Man and Melissa.
Okay.
And then Hexton says The Crafting of Narnia and Ledgeborn.
Okay.
So there we go. And so let's talk about we've already talked about movies a bit, but let's talk about your favorite food. What is your favorite food?
Oh my gosh. I love pasta. I love
Yeah.
spaghetti. I'm easy. I love
Yeah,
it.
it would definitely be either spaghetti and meatballs. I absolutely love it. Or it would be like a bowl of ramen. Ramen is one of those foods that I feel like it can't be done wrong. Like
Yeah.
there's like obviously cheap ramen, but it's still delicious. And
Yeah,
then there's
still
like
good.
really fancy ramen, and it's so good. I just had it yesterday, and I'm like, oh, it's just so comforting and delicious. Uh, yeah. So that'd probably be my favorite. What is your favorite TV show?
This is so hard. Like I've been bracing myself for this one because I watch a lot of weird stuff. Like I put
Yeah.
on like Alien, Skinwalker, is Bigfoot real in the background as like comfort
Yeah.
shows. Like I love stuff like that. I love like Expedition Unknown, like Josh Gates out in the world looking for Alexander the Great's tomb, which
Yeah.
I did not know that Alexander the Great was missing, but apparently he has been for like thousands of years. Um, I think this is so tough. I really just love like my favorites are like classic TV. Like I love the monsters. I grew up watching I Love Lucy. I still love I Love Lucy. But I am rewatching, and you know where I'm going with this because we've been trying to figure out what we're gonna do. I've been rewatching Mary Tyler Moore.
Yeah.
I watched it for the first time last year, guys. Rachel is a huge MTM fan.
Yeah.
Um, I've just really come. It's so comforting. Like I kind
Yeah.
of wish I had the experience of like having to wait for Saturday night for it to come on or
Yeah.
something because it's just I really look forward to it.
It's a great show, and it was incredibly consistent. They
Yeah.
managed to withstand like major cast changes, and it was still good.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's the thing with television is so often I'll be super into something and then it'll disappoint me. Bridgerton.
I've been seeing your thoughts. I've never watched Bridgerton, so
But that happens so often. Obviously, How I Met Your Mother was like the biggest example of that. I loved it so much, and
it went
it
down.
just it was
Yeah.
so disappointing. Oh, and and so a lot of times that happens, or I'll just end up just sort of losing interest. But for a long time, like I would have said Survivor. Survivor was really important to me for a long time. I was like part of all the fandoms, and that I have kind of I just haven't had time the last four
Yeah.
seasons I haven't watched. And they did season 40 was an all winners season. And I don't know if it just also sort of just like it was almost like a capping off, for me in a way. So I don't know if that's part of it, but I do love the show. It's very entertaining.
Yeah.
It's really interesting to see. It's basically like game theory, like how do people make it to the end? How do people win? Because it's not just a physical game, it's a mental game, it's a social game. It's all those different things. Like, because you have to get to the end in a way that all of these people that you voted off will vote for you
Vote
to
for
get the
you.
million
Yeah.
dollars. And that's interesting because there's been people who've been like really cutthroat and really, whatever, but they were stupid because they didn't manage the jury. So even though they technically played well, they didn't win because everybody hated them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like that's what makes the game like really interesting. It's just to see how like nobody, even the people who have won twice, which is just two people, they didn't win exactly the same both times. And so it just makes it like interesting to see, okay, what are the keys to like winning, and they just craft an entertaining show. They really do.
Yeah.
They're very good at it. They um but so for a long time I would have said Survivor. But also, I've got to say The Nanny
Yeah, you
is
love The Nanny.
I love The Nanny. I think it's so funny. It's classic rom-com. Mr. Sheffield and Fran, and they're back, will they, won't they, back and forth. And I love Fran, and the show is like genuinely funny. It brings in a lot of the like I Love Lucy and kind of inspiration. I do love Mary Tyler Moore's show. It's great. It was a great show. I also, as far as dramas, I loved 24. I think that
Okay.
was such a good show. Like maybe not every season was perfect, but just though I love the whole format. It's like each episode is an hour. You're getting like, and there was nobody that would leave things off on this like huge cliffhanger every episode. And you're like, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen to Jack? And you gotta watch it. It's such good. Like I would put almost any season of 24 up against any action movie being made today. Like it was exciting and well done, and there was always a mole and somebody. So
Well, I've
yeah.
watched bits and pieces of Survivor because my husband's into it, but
Oh yeah.
we have while like he's gotten me into The Amazing Race.
Okay.
I'm not
Yeah.
gonna like go back and watch the other like
No.
30,000 seasons, but I'm like really into it. I guess that's like a
Yeah.
fun. They don't have one that's coming out this summer, but I'm like, if you're looking for something to watch during the summer, like it's travel. They're literally like
Yeah.
racing all over the world.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like the challenges that I feel like I haven't really
Mhm.
watched reality TV since like the real world, but like I'm invested in
it's
this
fun.
show when it comes out.
A couple other shows. I mean, I do love Heartstopper on
Mhm.
Netflix. That's a great show. I really love Downton Abbey. I was a big fan of that. I always liked Sex in the City, but then when I covered it with Jax, like that made it have a special place in my heart.
Yeah.
And
I
so
feel like Sex in the City is so smart. And I feel like Mary Tyler Moore is too now that I've
yeah,
watched it.
yeah,
They ended while it was still good.
yeah, yep.
Do you
It's
feel like
true.
Bridgerton
I
should have been
agree.
done? Like, are you like over it?
No, I just think they should have made such boneheaded writing decisions.
Okay.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
It is what it is. It's fine.
Yeah.
We'll get another season. Maybe it'll be better.
Yeah, it can't be worse. Another show that I absolutely love. It's just 10 episodes. It's a little animated show called Over the Garden Wall. I would really, I very rarely use this word, but it is a true masterpiece in every regard. The animation is so beautiful. It's a modern day take on Wizard of Oz, basically. These two brothers in this like dark and austere fantasy world, and each they're only 10-minute episodes, but each episode coming into contact with these crazy creatures and situations, and but it can also be quite sweet and funny, and potatoes and molasses and crazy songs, and it's a masterpiece. It's
Yeah.
absolutely incredible. I highly recommend that.
Where'd you
And
stream that? I've been
that's a
wanting
good
to watch
question.
it.
Let me check that.
Because I was like I would put like cartoons up on the screen where I would like post stuff for when the kids would walk in. And I came across some and it was like I looked into it as like over the garden wall and I'm like,
Yeah,
where is this
it might be a
from?
little scary for that kind of environment for some
Mhm.
kids, because it has like a dark kind of like Nightmare Before Christmas kind of,
Yeah,
maybe
it
like,
was always pictures. Like I could see like a boy and like it looked like a pumpkin like walking behind him or something. I was like, I don't know. But and I looked into it and
mm-hmm.
it's like over the
Yeah,
garden wall and I was like, oh, I've been wanting to
yeah,
watch
it
this.
looks like it's on Hulu.
It's on Hulu. Okay. I'll
Hulu,
look into
yeah.
it so I can watch it.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/hallmarkies.
But some of the answers online, DigiKate says Gravity Falls, which was an absolutely wonderful show. That was a great pick. And then Community, she has. And CM Waters says Batman, or says Avatar: The Last Airbender and Breaking Bad. Very solid choices.
Yeah.
And then Tim Rachel Ann says Once Upon a Time, which great. That was another show I loved.
That was a good one.
And Survivor. So a good one. And then Hexton says Murdoch Mysteries and LOVM. I'm not sure what that is.
Mm-hmm. We'll have to look into it.
Yeah.
LOVM.
LOVM. Anyway, and okay, so then the next question that I had was, it was funny because I was thinking like, who's your favorite like celebrity / like actual real life hero? But everybody pretty much in the answers just took it as like who's your favorite superhero, which answer it however you want. But so your heroes, and so what do you think? Who would you say is your like either your like celebrity crush, your favorite heroes? Somebody like that.
Oh my gosh. Well, I think my celebrity crush is still, rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman. I just loved him in the Black Panther.
Yeah, that gets both of them, celebrity and hero, superhero.
And hero, yeah. And then just the fact that like he did so much and no one knew that he was like battling cancer. Like he didn't make his life about that. And he just kind of transitioned out, and I don't know. I thought he was just such a beautiful person. So that would probably be my celebrity crush for real. And then I don't know. I think my like just hero would still be Lucille Ball.
Yeah. Yeah.
So funny. Like the things she was willing to do to make people laugh. It's just crazy.
Did you watch the Lucy and Desi documentary Amy Poehler did? I think it was last year. Did you ever see that?
No.
You should watch it because
is it good? I'm always nervous with stuff like that.
Yeah, I get that, but you should watch it because I didn't realize like how important Lucy and Desi were to producing so much. I mean, they had the whole studio that they had. And so they were a part of like nurturing so much talent.
Wow. Okay.
And so just being, it gave me a new respect for her as like a businesswoman and an entrepreneur and everything. So yeah, I really would recommend watching that. I think it's on Amazon. Let me check.
Okay.
Make sure.
Yeah, I just hear so much about like so much of what I see. It kind of just alludes to like their relationship and like how he wasn't necessarily the best for her and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, let me just keep the image in my mind.
Lucy and Desi, directed by Amy Poehler on Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll watch it.
I would recommend it.
Who's
so
yours?
That's a good choice. I mean, as far as celebrities, I really do love Jodie Benson. She was the voice of Ariel, and I just love her voice, and she just seems like a really super cool person, and so she'd probably be a favorite. I mean, I do have a lot of like Olympian heroes that I just think are so amazing and what they accomplished, like a Michael Phelps, like unbelievable what he did, and Simone Biles. And it's so funny because I enjoy following the Olympics, and particularly, the gymnastics and swimming in the Summer Olympics. But I would by no means say like I'm a big gymnastics fan, but somehow the algorithm in Facebook like is convinced I'm like hardcore.
Hardcore.
Like, gymnastics. I get like the most updates of like, I swear the other day was like Ottawa Gymnastics Club. I'm like, why am I hearing about this? Like, what?
Oh, you got to give it up to the algorithm. It's listening to us right now. So you're going to get on your phone.
Yeah. So I don't know what's going on. But I mean, she's incredible. There's so many of the Olympians that I admire. And I just think are
I'm
really...
trying to do better. I like am trying to keep up with like the WNBA. Like I am really happy to see like women's sports getting more recognition. I watched some surf competition a couple weekends ago. Couldn't tell you where they were. Don't know any of the rules. I'm afraid I would never surf. Sorry, guys. But I was like, I'm going to watch this because it's like 3 women surfing.
I'll watch just anything at the Olympics. It's like, oh, steeplechase. Let's watch it. Let's watch curling. Here we go. Why not?
Why not? But yeah, those gymnasts, like, gosh, the shape and the dedication that it has to take to do what they do is incredible.
Yeah. I mean, as far as like actors, I feel very lucky that probably my 2 favorite I've been able to interview, which is very unbelievable that I interviewed Fran Drescher and Brooke Elliott, who are both people I love. And I had great experience with both of them. So it all worked out.
Good.
Yeah. As far as like superheroes, I mean, Wonder Woman is definitely my favorite of the superheroes. That are the Incredibles.
Yeah.
The whole family.
Love her.
Yeah. But let's see. DigiK says, she says Danny Phantom and Iron Man. And then CM Waters says Batman and Iron Man. Tim and Rachel Ann say Michael J. Fox and Louisa May Alcott. And if you love Michael J. Fox, there was a very good documentary on him last year. You should check out. Yeah, that was very good about him and Parkinson's and everything. And so that was really good. And then Hexon says Hawkeye and Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah. So that's fun.
And then the last question that I asked was basically like favorite musical or Broadway musical, because I'm a theater girl. And my favorite is Les Mis is the most nostalgic. I was obsessed with it in high school. I literally knew every line to every song. I mean, every song. There was this 10th anniversary concert that was very popular in PBS that they would air during like their pledge drives, and I'd be like, record. Yeah. And I would watch it over and over. And I just loved that show so much. The songs are so great. It's such a good story. It's such a moving story. I actually think it improves upon the book, the book is kind of brutal to get through, but I love that show. I've seen it I think 4 times on Broadway. It's special. But I also absolutely love this little show that only lasted on Broadway for 100 performances, which breaks my heart. It's called Bright Star.
Okay.
And I've seen it. It's very popular here in Utah for some reason. I've seen it, I think, 9 times. It's very popular. But I love it so much. It's about this. It's set in like 1930s or whatever. And it's about this woman who falls in love with like the town hunk kid, and they have this romance. And I don't want to give spoilers away, but basically like things happen with her child and her family and this romance. And the music has like very bluesgrassy feel. It's absolutely beautiful. It was the music, believe it or not, was actually written by Edie McKell and Steve Martin. Comedian Steve Martin. Yeah. But I absolutely love the songs, and it has like some heavy themes, but like it's moving and well done, but then it also has like lighter moments. So it's a real overall well-rounded show. I think it gives you kind of a little bit of everything. You cry, you laugh, you enjoy it has great places for choreography and dance. And it's just, I just think it's a perfect show. I absolutely love it. So those would be my 2 favorites. I mean, I really think if it wasn't for the nostalgia, I think Bright Star is actually my favorite
Your favorite
show. I think it is because the thing about Les Mis, it's an absolutely great show, but it does have a couple misses as far as the songs. Pretty much everything that Cosette sings is like, not
Yeah.
great. Adult Cosette, child Cosette, very sweet. But her adult songs are like, not that great. So I do think that just like apples to apples, I think that Bright Star is actually my favorite
Your
musical.
favorite.
So
what do you think? What do you think? How do you think Wicked's gonna do?
yeah, so this is really interesting about Wicked because John Chu, the director, like he did In the Heights, which I loved, and I know he has a great affinity for this material and he loves it, and so I mean, I definitely excited about it, and I love Wicked. It's a really fun show, got some great songs, and you have a very talented cast with Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande, like incredible singers. So what are you going to do? That's perfect. But a couple things make me nervous about it. One, the biggest thing that makes me nervous is that why on earth they are splitting this into two parts, I have no idea. Like, not only does that just seem excessive, but particularly for this musical, almost all of the good songs are in Act 1 in Wicked. It is very top heavy. There's really only two like memorable songs in Act
The second
2.
half. Yeah.
So either they're going to switch things around, move things around, add new music, which I'm sure they will. But like, I mean, I just feel like most of it is just a very top heavy show. Like almost all the good stuff happens in Act 1.
Yeah.
So, I'm just like, why are they doing that? I have no idea. It seems like a huge mistake to me, but we'll see, I guess, how it plays out. But then the other thing that makes me a little nervous, as talented as I think Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande are, which I genuinely do, they are both too old for these roles. It does not make sense to me. I mean, I think Cynthia Erivo is like 35 years old, and these are like the beginning of the story is them starting college.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be teenagers.
Yeah.
Yeah, going to college. It just doesn't make sense. So I those are the two things that make me the most nervous about it. But I'm like the biggest musical apologist there is. Like, I like musicals that nobody else likes. So I'm sure that I will like it. I would be, but whether I'll love it, I guess that's the question. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
What do you think? Are you excited?
I am gonna go see it. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
I hope that it does well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I mean, I think it will definitely do well. But anyway, we'll see what happens. As far as favorite Broadway shows, Digicate says The Producers and Hamilton. CM Waters says Phantom of the Opera and The Lion King. Tim and Rachel say Wicked and Next to Normal. And then Hexton says Come From Away and Wicked. So there we go.
Good.
Very good. So let us know what you would pick for these categories. What are your favorites and any of the other random things that we talked about? Let us know.
Yes. Yes. Tell us what random thing you want us to talk about next time.
Yeah, we can make this a thing.
Yeah.
I would love that.
Catch up.
So much. I would love that so much. Yeah, let us know what you think about the Chiefs movie and just what you thought of Passport to Love, all the different things we talked about.
Yeah.
We want to hear.
Tell us your faves. And what are you doing this summer if you're here on our side of the world? What are you doing this summer? What's your summer show?
Yeah. Well, yeah. What's your binge show?
Yeah. What's your binge show?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let us know. And you should check out Jurassic Park and Point Break.
Yes.
I think that's our main takeaway from this.
Go watch it. Go watch it. Go to the movie theater, guys.
Yeah. Yeah, and read Funny People, whatever. Funny.
Yeah, Funny Story. Go
Funny
pick it up
Story.
By Emily Henry.
Read Funny Story. Read it. It's really
a hit.
So, well, Bree, how can people follow you, everything you do?
I'm occasionally on Instagram at Bree Unabashedly, and once a week I post a podcast episode on the Categorically Romance podcast.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes and on Goodreads. So check that out. And make sure you're following the podcast at Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast, all over social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. We sure appreciate that. And if you are watching on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. We also have our Patreon group, which is the best way you can support us. We sure appreciate it so much being part of watch alongs. And we're going to have Catherine Davis on in July talking about Santa's Got Style and doing a watch along. So, and any level of the Patreon can join in. So you really, really should check it out. It's very fun. And we also have the merch store. You get tons of Hallmark inspired designs. And we'd love for you to check that out. And thanks so much, everybody. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye, everybody.